Hi, welcome back. We're going to switch gears a little bit. So I mentioned at the beginning of the year, our last lesson, our last mini unit would be about the possibility of alien life in our Milky Way galaxy. And so we're jumping into it. And so the first question one might ask is not just if alien life exists, but maybe a better, more specific question might be, how many alien civilizations exist in our Milky Way galaxy? Okay. And we're going to take a scientific look at this question. Throughout this entire unit, we're not going to engage in conspiracy theories like Area 51. Instead, everything that we're going to do is going to be based on relatively sound science. Okay. Now, you might ask, is it even possible to have relatively sound science related to aliens? Well, the answer is yeah. By the way, this is from a TV show called Ancient Aliens. They deal a lot with conspiracy theories. That's not what we're going to be doing. Again, we're going to be taking pretty scientifically sound look at the possibility of alien civilizations, alien life. So what we're going to engage in for this activity is called a Fermi problem. If you want to look about this online, Wikipedia has a pretty good description. But I'll just show with you a couple of examples, and then we're going to do our own. So one example of a very easy one would be let's imagine we're watching baseball, to calculate the number of hits for a baseball player. And so for Fermi problems, you need to come up with a list of variables that might affect this number. And so you can pause the video and think in your head, what might affect the number of hits a baseball player gets in a year? I assume you're back. So for my list, I just came up with two different ideas. Like I want to know how many at-bats this player had, and I want to know what percent of their at-bats ended in a hit. So I came up with two variables that affect the number of hits a baseball player gets in a year. And if I wanted to go even further, I can come up with an equation where I just multiply these two numbers. So at-bats times this percent of at-bats that end in a hit will tell me the number of hits. And if I came up with fake numbers, let's imagine the baseball player has 500 at-bats, and they get a hit 30% of the time, so they're a 300 hitter. We predict them to get predict them to have roughly 150 hits, 500 times 0.3. We're going to do a similar method for how many alien civilizations exist in the Milky Way galaxy. But this example of a Fermi problem is way too easy. Let's do a little bit more complicated one. I really like this one, the number of pens and pencils in our school, Woodside High School. But let's do another one that might be a little bit more interesting. How many dates did I go on in high school? We're going to come up with an equation that might dictate this. And so I'm going to ask you to pause the video and think, what variables might influence this number? So pause the video, come up with a list of variables that might influence this, and then I assume you're back. I came up with my own list. The list I'm about to show you is certainly not the only answer. So there's countless answers to all of these Fermi problems. And I'm just going to show you my thought process, and explain my thought process. So I came up with these variables that influenced how many dates I went on in high school. So I was thinking, how many people are in my high school? Like, okay, they're all the same age. The fraction of people I interacted with, because again, I didn't actually interact with everyone, so this number would be between 0 and 1. It's a fraction, between 0 and 1, I guess a percent. Fraction of those who match my sexual orientation. For example, if I'm a homosexual male, what percent of the population is also homosexual males? The fraction of people I was attracted to, so maybe not all the people I'm attracted to, so I imagine I can only go on dates for those people I'm either intellectually or physically attracted to. And then finally, does he have game score? So this will also be a fraction, a percent between 0 and 1, about how much game I got. Yeah. So again, I came up with these variables. Your variables might be different. And then I attached numbers to these variables. And I came up with this equation below, which I just highlighted. So again, every single thing here, every single variable, I'm going to multiply them together, and I should get an answer at the bottom for how many dates I went on. So then I started to attach some numbers on these variables, like the number of people in my high school, I think was roughly 1,600. To be honest, I don't remember. Those who I interacted with, I just guesstimated 25%, so 0.25. These were all the people in my class. Fraction of those who match my sexual orientation, I just guesstimated 0.4, so 40%. Fraction of people I was attracted to, I guess 0.2, 20%. That one I had no idea. And then the does he have game score? So again, this should be a number between 0 and 1. 1 being he got game and 0 being no. And so you can imagine what that score is. And so I polled a bunch of people to what they think my he got game score is. And the number they gave me was, oh my God, I just did, was 0.001. That means I don't got game. So anyway, if we were to put these numbers in this equation, you can predict how many dates I went on, roughly 0.032 dates, which sounds about right. If you round, you get the correct answer. But again, for our purposes in this activity, we're not focusing on these numbers yet. We'll get to the numbers later. All we're really focusing on are these variables. So the bullets here, the 5 bullets that I have. We don't even care about an equation right now. All we care about is the bullets. And so I'd like you to do a similar process for this one. So I'd like you to think what variables might influence the number of civilizations in the Milky Way galaxy. Alien civilizations in the Milky Way galaxy. I added a little bit more complexity to this by stating with which communication is possible. So imagine we wanted to communicate to an alien civilization. So maybe there's an alien civilizations that we can't communicate with, but that's why I added this complexity. But if you don't want to focus on that, that's fine. You can just try to think what variables might influence the number of alien civilizations in our Milky Way galaxy. Okay. So again, all you need to do is come up with variables. And a variable, I mean like these bullets here. These are variables. Okay. That's all you need to do. And then we're going to talk about this later next class. Sayonara. Sayonara. I'm done making fun.